تعجيل في ظهور إمام صاحب العصر والزمان الثالثة بيعلى. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله، صلى الله عليك يا ابن رسول الله، يا رحمة الله الواسعة، ويا باب نجاة الأمة، يا غريب مظلوم كربلاء، ما خاب من تمسك بكم، وأمن من لجأ إليكم. يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. أم البنين came walking in tears to Karbala. Scattered bodies are all that met her two eyes, and she is torn between two. One lies by the river, the other is Hussein, and over them she cries. She is greeted in this land by a broken and severed head. She cries, who are you? Oh, who over you tears of blood I shed? He answers, oh mother, to this land of sorrow I was led. Yes, it's my head and there my body to the arrows was fed. She walks around, and her sorrow circles her and taunts her, and kneels by a broken head, and kneels by a broken body, left alone by the river. He cries, I did not wish to see the eyes of my mother. There lies my eye, there lies my hands, and by them lies my banner. La tad'uni wayki al-banin, تذكريني باليوث العريق. كانت بنون لي أدعى بهم، واليوم أصبحت ولا من بني. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. أفلح من صلى على محمد وآل محمد. قال الله الكريم في كتابه الحكيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ووصينا الإنسان بوالديه إحسانا حملته أمه كرها ووضعته كرها. And we have enjoined upon man to his parents good treatment. His mother carried him with hardship and gave birth to her and gave birth to him with hardship. صلى على محمد وآل محمد. She is a woman who is happy. When feeding you, she can stay hungry. When feeding you, she forgets about her hunger. When she clothes you, she forgets about her own clothes. When she gives you milk and she gives you water, she forgets about her own thirst. And she keeps you in the shade when she suffers from the pain of the sun and the heat. Not only that, she gives you comfort during your own hardships, and she lulls you to sleep even if she has to stay awake during the nights. She is our mothers. She is our mother. The Quran specifically states the position of the mother, and I've only mentioned it in the Quran, the verse, the chapter which I've mentioned, chapter 46 verse 15. Chapter 46 verse 15. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ إِحْسَانًا حَمَلَتْهُ أُمُّهُ كُرْهًا وَوَضَعَتْهُ كُرْهًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and we have enjoined upon man to his parents good treatment. To his parents good treatment. However, his mother carried him through hardships and she gave birth to him in hardship. In another Quranic verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانِ بِوَالِدَيْهِ. Again, وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ حَمَلَتْهُ أُمُّهُ وَهْنًا عَلَى وَهْنٍ. Enjoined upon man care for his parents. His mother carried him in weakness upon weakness. Two verses in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to us as the believing men and women to care for our parents, to treat our parents well. But however, Allah mentions the general term parents and then mentions the woman specifically. He mentions the mother twice. Specifically why? To outline to us both that the position of the mother is that she goes through hardships and she goes through the most roughest treatment in order to bring us into this world. Yes, I speak to the mothers of this society. I speak to the women who inshallah will be mothers within society. Allah never abandons the woman, never abandons the mother. Even if she is lonely, Allah has given us examples where the wives of the prophets or prominent women within Islam have been looked after by Allah. Sayyidah Maryam, upon which the difficulties of life was upon her, she wished for her own death. She wished for her own death. She says, Allah, take my life. I can't deal with the difficulties of this life. This society is suffocating me. Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala consoles her. He tells her to fast for 3 days. He gives her dates and he gives her water and consoles her. And then he makes her son Jesus speak on behalf of Maryam to tell the world of his prophethood. And he speaks on behalf of Maryam and tells the world of his prophethood. Chapter 19 verses 23 to 26 testifies to this. Another woman, the mother of Prophet Musa. A mother has a deep love towards her child. A deep, deep rooted love for her child. So for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to tell her that you must place this baby into a river, that's very difficult for her to deal with. Very difficult. But Allah has a plan. And Allah never keeps her alone. When the baby ends up in Fir'aun's hands, or the wife of Fir'aun's hands, each mother that tries to suckle the baby would not let, and would be not permitted so, because Musa would not take, until the call was made to Prophet Musa's mother to come forward and to suckle the baby, and Allah's plans were brought together again. The mother and the child were brought together again. Chapters 20 verse 37 to 40 and chapter 28 verses 7 to 13 testifies to the position of the mother, and testifies to the position of the mother of Musa and her willingness to defy all odds and place her baby within the river. The position of woman, the position of a mother, is so sincere and so lofty in the eyes of Allah. Angels whisper to one another. Angels whisper to one another about the finest angel, my mother. Through her eyes I witnessed the glimmer of the moon, and basked in her sun from dawn to noon. My world was molded by her very hands, just as the farmer would plough his lands. Under her wing I found my home, in her love I endlessly roam. I blossomed in her pure reflection, and unfolded through her affection. Unequal to her there cannot be, unequal to her there cannot be. She is the mother he gave to me. Heaven lies under the feet of the mother, not entirely true. For there is a narration from the Prophet that says, heaven lies under the feet of the mother. But within this poem it says, heaven lies under the feet of the mother. Not entirely true. I see heaven in her two eyes. I see the seventh of the skies. I feel it under her gentle touch. I hold it when our hands do clutch. I smell it in her scented clothes, like a bee amidst a blossomed rose. If I could have chosen, I would have picked no other to be my friend, to be the angel that is my mother. Sallallahu Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. الثاني غفر الله لكم. We mentioned yesterday that the Treaty of Rights from Imam Zayn al-Abidin outlined the rights of every single aspect of humankind and human beings. Be it in their workplace, be it in their family, be it in their institutions, their community, their society, them as human beings. However, I didn't outline the rights of the mother. And Imam Zayn al-Abidin beautifully states the rights of the mother. He says, it is the right of your mother that you should appreciate that she carried you in her womb the way nobody carries anybody else. She fed you the fruits of her heart, which nobody feeds anybody else. She protected you during pregnancy with her eyes, with her ears, with her hands, with her legs, with her hair, and with her limbs, with her whole being, gladly, cheerfully and carefully, suffering painfully and patiently all the worries and all the pains and all the difficulties and sorrows. This is the Treaty of Rights given to us by Imam Zayn al-Abidin regarding the position of the mother. A mother commands great respect from her family. She is to be obeyed and she is to be venerated. Now even the Prophet ﷺ has put so much emphasis on the mother that when a man comes to the Prophet and asks him, "O Prophet, who shall I obey more? Who shall I adore more? Who should I respect more, my mother or my father?" The first time he says, respect your mother. Take your mother first. Adore your mother. On the second occasion, he asks, okay, I've respected my mother. Who should I respect? Respect your mother again. 3 times this man is told to adore his mother more than his father. On the 4th occasion, he is told to respect and to adore and to take into consideration his father. There are many qualities that a mother should possess. Many qualities that a mother should possess. Now I want to discuss something that has been on my mind for quite a while, especially when it comes to the upbringing of children and the upbringing of youth within this society. I personally have a brother who's about 11 years old. Now throughout the first 8 years of his life, he lived with me, he lived in my room. And I noted down that he would copy every single action that I would do. If I would come home and drop my bag, he would come home and drop his bag. If I would say this word, he would say this word. If I would support this team, he would support this team. If I was to sit downstairs, he used to be my shadow wherever I go. Therefore, there's a responsibility for the mother. This is, again, bringing it all back to the mother. Responsibility of the adult to always make sure that his manners are on point, that his words are not of an ill manner, that his actions are of an Islamic nature. Because why? Because the youngsters, when they grow up, they look up to these people. Sometimes it gets to a certain extent where it's annoying, but that's the nature of a child. That's the nature of a child. He wants someone to look up to. That's why the qualities of a mother is to show undying love. You see, a mother, even if the child is young or the child is old, she will still love that child, or she will still love her child. Even if that child is healthy or disabled, she will still have unconditional love for this child, or unconditional love for that human being, her child. Even if he's obedient or if he's not obedient, she will still have unconditional love. What do I mean by unconditional love? I mean that she doesn't expect something in return. She gives and gives and gives, but doesn't expect something in return. That's unconditional love. That's why we have to be careful within society, especially as mothers. Number one, to know about society, to understand and educate ourselves what goes on around us, the social media, the way our employments and how it works, the institutions, how it works. Because if we don't, then we have to rely on what our parents said. And every generation is different, like we said yesterday. Every generation is different. I can't bring my own teachings of how my father brought me up to how I'm going to bring up my own child. Because it's different. They live in a different generation. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Yes, many qualities a mother should have. Number one is that unconditional love. This love, which I'm talking about, has to be consistent, brothers and sisters. It cannot be part-time love. Try it with your brothers and sisters. Or if you're a parent, try it with your sons or your daughters. The way I see it is that this consistency has to come about through patience and through hard work. If, for example, I constantly play, the way I did it was I constantly play with my brother football or soccer, however you call it, and I constantly play with him video games, and I constantly teach him, and I constantly speak to him, constantly smiling in his face. If one day I see that he's done something wrong, I don't smile. Why? Because the child registers. Once, if I've done something good, he smiles. Constantly I'm smiling and smiling and smiling. When I don't smile, I frown, the kid takes a step back and notices that he's done something wrong. So what does he do then? He starts to take into consideration what he's done. Doesn't need me to tell him anything. Doesn't need me to hit him, to shout at him, or to abuse him, or anything like that. Why? Because consistency. Number two, if, for example, you have to let the child know That there are certain times in the day where I'm busy, and there are certain times in the day where I can play. If you get this mixed up, one day he'll come to you, I want to play. Go to your brother, I want to play. Go to your mother, go. I want to play, I want to do this. Why? Because you haven't set the balance straight. One day he says, well, the same situation I came to yesterday, you played with me. The same situation I came to today, you don't want to play with me. What's going on? They don't understand. The kids don't understand the difficulties of this world. They don't understand that I had a bad day at work. All they want to do is play. Therefore, you have to show consistency within upbringing of the children. Consistency. It comes through hard work. I'll give you that. It comes through hard work. It comes through patience. But you'll see the fruits of your labor when years to come you find that he is a model citizen within society. Number two, you have to instill with him or her Islam. What kind of Islam? Again, the Islam that you've taught from your parents, or the Islam that you've just educated yourself on. Being aware of how society works, being aware of Islamic teachings, what the Imam said about upbringing, what the Prophet said about upbringing. Educate them, and educate them. Why? Because you don't want them to go astray. If you don't want them to go astray, constantly educate your children on the principles of Islam. A woman that we commemorate tonight goes by the name of al-Banin, the mother of four, or the mother of four children. Banin was such an amazing character by which Imam Ali chose her for one specific purpose. And that purpose was to give children to sacrifice for Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Her whole life was dependent on sacrifice. Her whole life was dependent on making sure these children that they grow up stay on the path of Hussein. Stay on the path of Islam. And therefore she sacrificed everything she had in the way of Islam and in the way of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I'm a mother. I'm a mother who has pride, and what a pride. I'm the lioness who gave away all her pride. In the love of Muhammad daily I'd abide. I gave everything, in my Lord I relied. I had a voice that like Ali's battle cry cried. With my four children's lives, Yazid's rule I defied. I shook his throne with every son. It is the pride that lives with me every day. I am the mother who gave her sons away. We can learn lessons from Banin. How? Because she says, I gave birth to each son, and beside each I cradle. I gave birth to each son, and beside each cradle I'd sing them lullabies. I'd sing them lullabies, and each son I'd cradle. In each lullaby a lesson to them I'd tell. You are all mortal. You are all mortal, but Hussein is immortal. Do not ever let him from his sorrow tremble. Do not ever let him from his sorrow tremble. When he draws his sword, when he draws his sword, in front of him assemble. His sorrows mend, his life defend. I tell my children when in my arms they'd lay. I tell my children when in my arms they'd lay. I am the mother who gave her sons away. I am the mother. الثاني غفر الله لكم. Banin gave tears a meaning. Banin was a school of thought in herself. Her self-sacrifice has been written down in history, and till today we remember. Till today we remember. She gave tears a meaning, and she gave mourning a meaning for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And tonight we remember this personality, not by tears, but the lessons that she left. And the lessons that she left was unconditional love for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Unconditional love for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. She says to Imam al-Hussein, everyone wants children. Everyone wants offspring, but me, I want children to be sacrificed for you, Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. And so, Imam Zayn al-Abidin, after what happened in Karbala, he sent a messenger to Medina to tell the people of Medina what had happened in Karbala. He sent a man by the name of Bishr to the outskirts of Medina. There he knew what to say and how to say it. He knew what to say and how to say it, for he said, Ya Ahl Yathrib, La maqam lakum biha, قتل الحسين فأدمعي مدرار، الجسم منه بكربلاء مغرج، والرأس منه على القناة يداه. When the news of your martyrdom reaches me, I will feel the shadow of emptiness in me. Hussein, your memory, it will always play with me. I remember when al-Banin, they call me. Bishr comes to Medina. There a woman comes to him with a broken back. She says to him, Oh Bishr, tell me about my son Hussein. He says, عظم الله لك الأجر بولدك جعفر وعون. You have ripped my heart apart, oh Bishr. Tell me about Hussein. I don't want to know about my 4 sons. He says, عظم الله لك الأجر بولدك العباس. Yes, I love Abbas. Yes, he was dear to me, but tell me about Hussein. That's the extent of our love. Even Abbas she doesn't want to know about. Tell me about Hussein, oh Prophet. Tell me of my beloved Hussein, for I let him go, and alone I remain. A mother's son is the blood within her veins. Tell me what's happened in that land, Karbala. There Bishr says to al-Banin, عظم الله لك الأجر بولدك الحسين بولدك الحسين. Yes, I am left here without children in Medina. All I talk to is the night and grave of Zahra. The night taunts me and says all her children left her, and Zahra's grave to my words gives no answer. Years during the aftermath of Karbala, Zainab returns to Medina. She returns to the house of Imam al-Hussein. Then she says, don't let anyone in. Listen to the words of Zainab. Don't let anyone in, no woman, unless she has lost a son, or she has lost a husband, or she has gone through oppression. Only then let the woman come in. But there was silence, and then there was a knock on the door. Sayyidah Zainab says, let that woman in, because I know who she is. Let that woman in, for it's al-Banin. al-Banin comes to Sayyidah Zainab. Sayyidah Zainab says, Wa Abbasa. al-Banin says, Wa Husayna. al-Banin is left alone in Medina, all alone with no sons. Here she says, Alone is what they call me when they see. Alone, al-Baleen without sun she's alone, not even a shadow with me. Alone, I have slept countless sleepless nights, only the stars provide me light without my moons. And in the dimness of my nights I cry a scream, and no one hears without my moons. Within the darkness of these nights my wounds they bleed and are not healed. Without my moons I weep, only the stars witness my tears. I weep, living in nights for days and years. I weep, not a moon to comfort my fears. Alone, I recall when, if I was scared, they'd come running, hearing my cries at my service. Now every day I live in fear, and not a soul comforts my heart at my service. Now at night even my shadow leaves me alone, no longer there. I'm so alone at my service. My house was once raised by many pillars. My house, only beauty in its mirrors. My house fell with Abbas and his brothers alone. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. أفلح من صلى على محمد وآل محمد. Brothers and sisters, can I kindly ask you to stand for the recitation of the Latmiya? I take just 5 to 10 minutes of your time, inshallah. If I can just kindly ask to keep the lights closed, because we are still in a mournful and sorrowful moment. Please, if I can just kindly ask you to stand. I do apologize for the elderly. If you want to sit, by all means, but please, if you can stand in respect for the Latmiya. Salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. I am al-Baleen, and this is my story, a story of sacrifice. I'll paint it with my screams and my agony, and your heart it will entice. I'll paint it with my screams and my agony, and your heart it will entice. In my womb a moon and 3 stars I carry. In my womb a moon and 3 stars I carry, but they all came at a price. To Hussein I would give each of them away. To Hussein I would give each of them away. I'd send them to death and vice. I'd send them to death and vice. I gave birth. I gave birth. I gave birth to a moon that would fall upon dust. I gave birth. I gave birth. I gave birth to stars that to death's hand I didn't trust. I gave so Hussein would gain. My life and death is Hussein. I gave so Hussein would gain. My life and death is Hussein. I'm mourning for my son Hussein. I am mourning. I'm mourning for for my son Hussein, I am mourning. I'm mourning for my son Hussein, I am mourning. بقت وياي ذكراكم يا الأحباب، وانا بدمعي أكابر فرشت الروح وانا بعتبة الباب. بقت عيني تناظر، بقت روحي بفرحهم، بقت وياي ذكراكم يا الأحباب، وانا بدمعي أكابر فرشت الروح وانا بعتبة الباب. بقت عيني تناظر مثل حال اليتيم الفقدة طياب، مثل حال اليتيم الفقدة طياب. تذوب ويا الخواطر أريد أنفد خبر والله لدمي عذاب، أريد أنفد خبر والله لدمي عذاب. وتهت بين المشاعر، وتهت بين المشاعر. نساني ما أظن مرت على ظنوني. أتاني جيتك يا حسين يا عيوني، بغيابك يقرب البين. My life and death is Hussein. بغيابك يقرب البين. My life and death is Hussein. I'm mourning for my son Hussein, I am mourning. I'm mourning for my son Hussein, I am mourning. I'm mourning for my son Hussein, I am mourning. With my hands I mothered 3 stars and a moon, in them courage I composed. In my hands I mothered 3 stars and a moon, in them courage I composed. I told them my beloved will face trial soon. I told them my beloved will face trial soon. Your lives to him I propose, when he stands alone beneath Karbala's noon. When he stands alone beneath Karbala's noon, to death and trials exposed. I want your bodies to lie on the ground strewn. I want your bodies to lie on the ground strewn. And not one of them are opposed, and not one of them are opposed. Your death greets, your death greets. Your death greets for Hussein, your martyrdom embrace it. For his feet, for his feet, for his feet, let your bodies become a carpet. To your mother's words listen, my life and death is Hussein. To your mother's words listen, my life and death is Hussein. I'm mourning for my son Hussein, I am mourning. I'm mourning for my son Hussein, I am mourning. For my son Hussein I am mourning. قعدت على الدرب ومهبط الراس، تنيتك ويبنيني من كثر الحزن تخنقني الانفاس. جزع مني حنيني من كثر الحزن تخنقني الانفاس. جزع مني حنيني ساعة طوى وين ساعة اسأل الناس. ساعة طوى وين ساعة اسأل الناس، والدمع على عيني. لا اريد الولد لا اريد عباس، لا اريد الولد لا اريد عباس. بس سالم تجيني، بس سالم تجيني، تجيني بجيتك تتعطر انفاسي. وحنيني حنين شوفتك يا بنسى بإحساسي، من أشوفك تفرح العين. My life and death is Hussein. من أشوفك تفرح العين. My life and death is Hussein. I'm mourning for my son Hussein. I am mourning. I'm mourning for my son Hussein. I am mourning. No, it doesn't matter. I pass by half years. His picture I remember. No, it doesn't matter. I pass by half years. His picture I remember. And I pray for my son to my Lord with the tears. And I pray for my son to my Lord with the tears. Return him to his mother. Not one of my own sons to me appears. Not one of my own sons to me appears. I don't recall them either. Face of the one of sons of me appears. If the face of one of my own sons be appears, I send them to Karbala. I send them to Karbala. I send them to Karbala. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if my sons were for tens or thousands. Show me where, show me where, show me where Hussein is. Let them live as angels, as long as he would remain. My life and death is Hussein, as long as he would remain. My life and death is Hussein. I'm mourning for my son Hussein. I am mourning. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين، خصوصا سيدي ومولاي أبي الفضل العباس واخته زينب جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. إلهي بمريض كربلاء زين العابدين يا رب عافي وشافي جميع المرضى، على خصم من أوصانا بالدعاء يا الله. اللهم وفقنا لمراضيك، جنبنا معاصيك، اجعل عواقب أمورنا خيرا يا الله. اللهم تقبل منا ومن مؤسس هذا المجلس بأحسن قبول يا الله. اللهم ارزقنا في الدنيا زيارة الحسين وفي الآخرة شفاعة الحسين يا الله. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج واجعلنا من أنصاره وعوانه ومن الذابين عنه من المستشهدين بين يدي يا الله. إلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات وإلى أرواح خدمة الحسين نودي لهم ثواب الصورة المباركة الفاتحة قبلها صلوات.